Short Rest with Fonzi and Carlo.
Orc Eye of Gruumsh. This is my black speech. I don't know how to speak black speech. It's probably Elven and has a deep voice attached to it.
This is my black speech, yo.
Oh no! Also, I didn't realize na we're already recording. Hey man, what's up?
Hey, man. All is well. For me, what's
Good
up
to
with
know.
you? How have things been? I know things have been crazy these past few days.
Yes, they most certainly have. I'm hoping for the best for everyone in the country affected by Ulysses, particularly in the parts of Cagayan. I hope everything is I'll post some charity links in the description below if you guys want to help out. Let's help them. Yeah, well, let's do our best. Let's um let's hope to leave this world better than how we found it, according to the critical role updation. Anyway, yeah. So, welcome to another episode of Short Rest Podcast.
Hi, guys.
It's been a while. It
Yeah.
feels like a while, even though we met just last week.
Did we? Oh, yeah, we
Yeah,
did. Well, we
yeah,
were supposed to have a guest over this week, but something happened, so we had to move that for another week. But
yeah,
it's gonna be great. So I hope you guys would stay tuned for our next episode next week as well.
yeah.
But this week,
Definitely.
for this episode, Carlo, what is it that we've been planning to talk about?
So yeah, we just we had this really cool encounter with an Orc Eye of Gruumsh recently, and we figured we'd like to talk about that guy. He seems very interesting. He's evil, but yeah, let's talk about him. And
Yeah.
we'd like to know if this format is good. If you guys like this format, actually, just give us some feedback in the comment section.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna talk about some random monsters.
mhm,
And like before we started the recording, we rolled and we came out with a this interesting character or this interesting monster called the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, which we will talk about after we roll for hit dice.
yes.
Would you like to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh wow, this is like you mentioned, a lot of stuff just happened over the past week. Um, but overall, work wise, it's pretty tame. What wasn't was the storm, and just a few weeks ago as well, Rolly came by, and we people in Metro Manila never really felt the intensity of that particular storm. When Ulysses hit, everyone in the NCR was like, oh, okay, storms are serious, yo. um Wednesday night, I distinctly remember Wednesday night, before the power cutting off, just watching the tree in front of my unit just sway or bend unnaturally to the howling winds. And a few minutes, I just heard an explosion, and one of the transformers blew up. And I was like, yep, is this it? This is like a disaster movie. Am I supposed to go under the table or something? Yeah, the lights went out. I had this little nifty flashlight that I could on a headband, which I could put, so I have light on my head. I went down, asked the security guards what's up, and yeah, confirmed. One of the cable in the one of the cables connecting to the transformers snapped, and the transformer blew up. And I'm like, well, that's gonna take days before any help arrives, because I don't know, I'm used to the bureaucracy of how slow things are in the Philippines. Thankfully, power went back. I got a day off, and yeah, it was a pretty harrowing experience, all things considered. Anyway, yeah. How about you, Fonzie?
I'm glad you're safe, and we're our prayers and our efforts will go on to the rehabilitation of those affected by Ulysses. Of course, yeah, as Carlo mentioned, we were planning to link some ways that you can help out and donate on the description. So hopefully we could get that done. For me, this week, well, lockdown na naman yung Davao.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it was just announced, I think, yesterday. So we're going back to our old ways of using the food and medicine passes and limited,
Mm-hmm.
days and times to be able to get out and to do stuff. And what really is kind of like a bummer for me is like I am relatively, new at going out and biking and stuff like that. And as my form of exercise and mental, I don't know, it's also a way
Just
for for me to get out and
yeah, unwind.
cooped up in the house. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, with these new measures, a lot of the venues that I've been going to, to spin and to go out and bike are closing. So, and which is kind of like a sign for me to just stay inside and to hunker down and not go out when I don't have to. So, I'm glad that
Mm-mm.
we have the bike trainer came just earlier
Nice.
this week, so I'm glad that's there. So
Thank God for that.
I've been Zwifting for a few days now,
With
which is relatively better than than just not doing anything.
nothing.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
I'm
yeah,
glad to know you've. Mm-hmm.
so it's a bit of my indoor process now to be able to build.
Nice.
And I was talking to other friends as well, like other riders or other like friends who ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like have difficulty staying motivated in terms of like training and stuff. And what really
Yeah.
helps is just having goals. And the thing that I mentioned to you earlier before we started recording about 600 kilometers at the start
Mm-hmm.
for the month.
Yeah.
So that has been my goal. So I've been working towards that.
Nice.
And yeah, so that has been like one of my targets for the past few months already. Like 2 months, I think, more or less,
Man,
to reach 600 kilometers for a month.
excited for you, dude.
Yeah,
That's like 20 kilometers per day, every day for the next month, right?
I came close, but not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite. But
Ah.
I feel like with my bike trainer, I could do that because I don't have any excuses.
Well, you can explore the other courses in Zwift, so those are gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I
London has been
remember,
great.
yeah. So a little tangent regarding Zwift. I bought a Bluetooth. Sorry, this is a D&D podcast, but this is somehow connected. Trust me. I bought a Bluetooth off of FB Marketplace, and I found out that my devices don't work for it. And I told Fonzie, I was like, you know what? I'll just go check out Mega Mall and see if they sell ANT sticks, right? So I walk there because it's healthier. I don't wanna spend on public transport because um other than wanting to save up, I don't wanna catch anything off of or give off anything, knock on wood. So parang I went there, so I felt like the Witcher traveling. Okay. I asked a few shops if they had this, and I had to show them a picture of what an ant stick looks like. And we're like, oh no, we don't have that, sir. Oh, wala kaming ganyan, sir. I say, I traveled to at least 3 in Mega Mall yesterday. No shops. I specifically avoided Garmin because they sell it for like 1,500. I'm like, nope, no thank you. And then I went to this bike shop dito sa my Greenfield, and they didn't have it as well. And I'm like, man, this fetch quest sucks.
Hindi rin wala sana yung Garmin.
I don't want to spend so much.
Garmin ka na lahat, tapos Majin lang yung unstick. Payat.
Yeah. I resolved to order na lang online. I'll wait for it. Ayun.
Para ka nag Mercedes tapos nag USB fan ka lang sa loob.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so yeah, that's and I realized, wow, I didn't find anything. It reminded me so much about how fetch quests in RPGs or in video games are, di ba? Where doon merong milestone kasi talagang mahanap mo siya. In this case, well, fail. Sometimes you don't find what you're looking for,
Yep.
and it's okay because Lazada exists.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Anyway.
ordered mine from China, so no ant sticks here that I know of. I think
Uh,
so. I really
yeah,
got my stuff from China. So great.
it's good to know, man. Right?
Speaking of China, I have I have no transition. So
So wait, let's talk about orcs. Wait, what?
I have no transition prepared. Orc Eye
Yeah.
of. So we rolled for what monster we're gonna talk about, and we rolled for this interesting looking monster
Mhm,
here. It's called the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, which
mhm.
is apparently in the monster manual. I guess correct? Am I correct?
Yes, it is in the monsters manual, along with other orcish creatures, if you may.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is the Orc Eye of Gruumsh in terms of what is written on the monster manual?
So the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, according to the Monster Manual, what is it? It's a medium humanoid orc that's chaotic evil, which is strange because if you want to know more about the Orc Eye of Gruumsh or any other orc for that matter, we need to take a little bit of we need to take a little bit of how orcs work, right? In token lore, and correct me if I'm wrong, my LOTR friends, orcs were this abominate were creations of Melkor who were like an affront to the elves, right? They're not necessarily like Warcraft orcs where they were twisted elves. And someone who has extensive knowledge of Warcraft lore, please correct me as well. I don't necessarily know, but yeah, that's essentially what they are. And D&D, they were really more of a creation of a deity known as Groom's One Eye. All right, I'll just delve a little bit into this particular origin story or backstory of the orcs, so we can know more about how orcish society works and how the Orc Eye of Groomsh fits in that particular society. Okay, so the orcs worship Groomsh, the mightiest of the orc deities and their creator. The orcs believe that in ancient days, the gods gathered to divide the world among their followers. When Grooms claimed the mountains, he learned that they had been taken by the dwarves. He laid claim to the forest, but those had been settled by the elves. Each place that Grooms wanted had already been claimed. The other gods laughed at Grooms, but he responded with a furious bellow. Grasping his mighty spear, he laid waste to the mountains, set the forests aflame, and carved great furrows in the fields. Such was the role of the orcs, he proclaimed, to take and destroy all that the other races would deny them. To this day, the orcs wage an endless war on humans, elves, dwarves, and other folk. So, that's a little bit of a backstory, right? Orcs hold a particular hatred for all other races besides themselves, of course. And the elven god Corellon Larethian half blinded Groomsh with a well placed arrow to the orc god's eye. So this is why this has a particular significance to the orc eye of Groomsh. Okay. Since then, the orcs have taken particular joy in slaughtering elves, turning his injury into a baleful gift. Groomsh grants divine might to any champion who willingly plucks out one of its eyes in his honor. And that's the story essentially of the orcs and how basically or the orc eye of Groomsh works or came about rather. Okay.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And looking at
mhm.
closely, like how Groomsh is like portrayed in terms of like uh D&D in this sense, like the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, would you think that they're almost like worshippers or followers of Gruumsh, or are they like cultists in that, or warlocks in this sense? Like,
I'd like to think that they're like, because it says that they're pretty chaotic evil. Some of them are smart enough to build societies of their own. I don't think they're like when you say that you're an organization is a cult. They're doing it for in the name of rooms, right? I
mm,
think I think other orc tribes are more of a society or more of or I think how orc tribes work is that they're not particular. Some of them do it for grooms, others don't, right? So they were bred for one single purpose, which is to destroy the world of man, elves, and dwarves. I'm sorry, I'm quoting a line from the Lord of the Rings, but it's essentially what it looks like. It's just yeah, they're just there to like pillage and destroy and live and procreate with each other and sometimes procreate with other races. That's how half orcs are made. But yeah, I don't think they do this particularly for the glory of grooms exactly. um, that's why not all of them, because not all of them have to pluck out their eye to become an orc eye of Gruumsh. So yeah, it's really more of a societal thing, an
yeah.
organizational thing.
And
Yeah,
looking at the spells like that they have, their cleric spells.
yeah, they are actually cleric spells. Now that I think about it,
Hmm.
well, if I may read the what's in the monster manual for the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, maybe it would shed more light as to why that's the case. Because essentially, the Orc Eye of Gruumsh is a warrior who devotes himself or herself to the god, no, Gruumsh, right? So when an orc slays an elf in Groom's name and offers the corpse of its foe as a sacrifice to the god of slaughter, an aspect of the god might appear. This aspect demands an additional sacrifice. One of the orc's eyes, symbolizing the loss of Groom's, suffered at the hands of his greatest enemy, Corellon Larethan, which is the big daddy god of the elves, I think. If the orc plucks out one of its eye, Grooms might, and this is not a guarantee, he just might if he wants to, if he feels like it, might grant the orc spellcasting ability and special favor, along with the right to call itself an Eye of Grooms.
I see.
When not using their auguries to advise their war chiefs, and this is where you kind of get an idea na, okay, since these are spellcasters, they're given some sort of divination powers by Grumsh himself. You'll notice that they are advisors to the war chiefs, which are basically the leaders of most of the orc tribes, right? Okay. These savage devotees of the god of slaughter hurled themselves into battle, their weapons stained with blood. So yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty comic book esque, like evil
Yeah.
monsters, right?
I can imagine if this was in Warlock in Warcraft 3, this would be the Warlock. I forgot his name. Gosh, what's that Warlock's name in Warcraft 3? Snapper. Um,
I don't play
Warcraft
Warcraft.
3 Warlock. Yeah, so it's that it's that particular I
Si
forgot
Azmodan,
crash. No, it's
naman.
for
Si Abaddon.
Asmodan. It's not. Oh, these are Dota 2 characters. It's not Nerzul. Pero yeah, I guess
Mirana.
uh,
Yeah. So, how would you use the Orc Eye of Gruumsh as, in combat? When you're challenging your tier 1 or tier 2 characters, like how would you use in combat? Like, what is its strength? Is it more damage dealing, tanky looking cleric type with ringmail and shield, or is it more of a commander in terms of like how, or strategic in terms of how it portrays combat? Like, how would you use the Orc Eye of Gruumsh in combat?
Yeah, if I'm gonna put this up against some tier one players, this is probably going to be the main bad for a particular quest, not necessarily a campaign, for a quest. Like they have to kill the Orc Eye of Gruumsh because he is killing a lot of elves in the name of of his god Gruumsh, diba? So I'll probably make him a big bad for for um tier 1 characters, and then he heals like a lot of orcs. That's gonna be a problem for them because if we're going to note it, we'll check the stat block later, but that's how I would use the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, right? um I can't, I also can't imagine how do I hit with this guy, or like do they have disadvantage because they're missing one eye? I'm not entirely sure. So yeah,
It doesn't say. Doesn't say
yeah,
though.
doesn't say as well. Yeah, we'll take a look at the stat block later. Pero yeah, this is this is a pretty this is a pretty cool creature that I would when it comes to tier 2 players or tier 3 players, I'd probably put this as a support creature to you know um buff up the other orcs or the orc white chief itself. Definitely. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I would use this.
I'm looking at the stat block right now, so
Mhm.
let me share the screen with you. Hold on. Uh, portion of the screen. Oh,
So you'll notice how this particular creature's lore is, it's very fascinating, di ba? Parang this the Grooms created this or Grooms wasn't given any sort of land or anything to how should I say this, to rule. So because he is frustrated and all the other guards are giving him shit for it, he decides to say, "Fuck it, I'm going to hate all y'alls and kill all of you."
yeah, that's a bit misunderstood. So that's, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I find that too simplistic for gods to be able to do that. But anyway, like looking at the stat block for the Orc Eye of Gruumsh, right? It's a
Mhm.
medium humanoid who is an orc and he is chaotic evil, according to this. Has an
Hmm.
AC of 16, ring mail, and shield. You can upgrade that to plate mail if you like.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and for hit points, it has 45 hit points with 6d8 plus 18. So how much is that if you max it out?
Hmm.
Uh,
8 times 6, that's 48 plus 18, 50, 66 something. Parang ganon, more or less. So it correct me in the
yeah,
in the
66.
comment section.
So
Yeah.
66 with the movement speed of 30 feet. Um, uh, so relatively for a spellcaster, it has higher strength, higher con, lower
Mm.
wisdom being its spellcasting mod.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
It's
would,
like a cleric.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you would think that it would relatively maybe, as maybe spellcasting is something of an afterthought for
Yeah.
this creature, it having a ring mail and a shield. So yeah, so for that, it has also dark vision because of orc things and
Yeah.
challenge rating of 2, right? And
Hashtag just orc things.
orc things, and as an orc thing, it also has like as a bonus action, can move up to its speed towards a hostile creature that it can see because it goes aggressive.
Mhm.
So this is something that is relatively I don't know if it's unique to this, but Groomsh's Fury, the orc deals an extra 4 or 1d8 damage when it hits with a weapon attack. So it's just not, it's not magical. It's just an additional 1d8 damage. So if you crit,
Yeah.
that's 2d8 damage, I would assume, right?
Yeah. This
So with
is trivia, a little bit of trivia regarding Groom's Fury. Only Orc Eye of Grooms and the Orc White Chief have that particular feat.
Mhm.
So you can tell that these two figures in the Orc tribes are the chosen of Groomsh. So yeah.
Yeah. So like its weapon of choice is a spear, which is weird. So it has a spear with a shield. So a spear
Yep,
is
yep.
1d6 for one-handed and 2d8 for two-handed.
Yeah. I think it's also lore-wise kaya siya spear is because si Gruumsh is often associated with the spear. So
Oh, is
parang
he?
that's how they want to be like the god that they worship, diba? So parang I'm gonna use a spear even though I have a better hold of the mace or something.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Anyway,
interesting. Yeah, so that's how you are going to like. That's how what it looks like in terms of like the stat block.
yeah.
So that's great. So for you guys, like it would be difficult for if you're like if you're facing against this guy. So it would be difficult for you guys to outmaneuver this person, this orc, because it has the aggressive feet, so it can close the distance real quick. So condition spells are great in terms of like intelligence saving throws and stuff like that. Wisdom, it's relatively high in wisdom, and
Yeah.
so yeah, but no
So
bonuses
those
in terms.
wisdom saves.
Yeah, no bonuses in saving throws. So
Mm.
like in terms of like how you are able to handle this guy, maybe uh controlling its movement, maybe not allowing it to hit you with any sort of, or providing disadvantage for it when it hits you.
Yeah.
So that is relatively good. And in terms of like perception, passive perception of 11, so that's not relatively high, so it bodes well for our friends who are
Stealthy.
stealthy.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit
Th-
of
th-
a tip for you
And
guys.
if you'll notice also something that was seen in the stat block, pero I'll mention it na rin la. You'll notice how its alignment is chaotic evil. And it kind of brings into question since they have like orc societies, diba, orc tribes, and they're chaotic evil. Wouldn't that like no I have a hard time trying to understand how something that's chaotically aligned have like a society in itself like that I just a thought uh normally I guess it's the whole influence ng Warcraft thing na parang there are rules to the society, there is honor, but I
Mhm.
forgot that the way D&D the way D&D portrays orcs is that they're not bound by common rules to of men like of normal civilizations na parang there should be honor, there should be truth, justice, etc., the Baldurian gateway. Pero ayun parang I just wanted to point that out that they are all chaotic evil, so parang whatever goes, man. Now that whoever is the strongest orc that becomes the war chief, I will serve this. But whatever, I will serve the one true god that's Gruumsh and stuff. So parang na-imagine ko lang how it would work in an orcish society.
Mhm.
So wala, it's a pretty it's a pretty good thing to talk about. And I really love like how these monsters, the stuff that they use is so, in one way or another intertwined with the lore that abound by them. And this is why this is why I bought the monster manual. Oh, so much to learn about it.
Mhm.
And it's not all of the lore is in the monster manual itself.
Mhm.
So yeah, sometimes you have to do like research on it. Pero like we got a large chunk of lore from this orc monster alone, diba? And
Right.
it's so fascinating and
Right.
good.
And like if you're planning like a homebrew, or if you would see this in adventures and stuff, or if you're like
Mm.
just planning encounters, it would make sense to have um, this in a with foot soldiers, or with a certain sense of cultists maybe,
Mm.
or other, other circumstances that would allow it to be more of a challenge for players. I don't think like just being this one Groomsh guy, I think their strength really lies in numbers, because they're
And
tough to hit, and they're
definitely.
tough to hit for tier 1, or just tier 2, which is not relatively, which would still be difficult in terms of its high HP. um
Yeah.
So if you didn't
I
have
I
like
get
spellcasters and stuff like that, it would
Hmm.
be a hard time for you guys.
Yeah. Story wise and like adventure wise, I can imagine just the Orc Eye of Gruumsh pulling the strings while the Orc War Chief orders people around because of his mass of his brute strength. Para, parang that's how I imagine it would be. Like if a bunch of players like that's the War Chief, we need to kill him. Pero the person pulling the strings all this time was the Orc Eye of Groom. I can see that happening in a game or in a homebrew one time. So
Uh,
yeah, that's kind of cool in itself.
yeah. Can
Yeah.
you imagine like having three Orc Eyes of Gruumsh come at you, spend their action to attack and bonus action spiritual weapon? Oh my god.
Yeah. You're dead. Tapos may attack pa sila, no? Man,
Yeah. Plus
that
1d8 if they
sucks.
hit.
Oh my gosh.
That
And
sucks.
and you're just tier 1.
Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
rough. That's gonna be
So
rough.
that's it for our Orc Eye of Rooms. Would you like to discuss another creature?
I think we've got a lot of lore from Orc Eye of Gruumsh na.
Mm.
So I think we're good. I'd like we're trying this format now, one monster per session. Let us
Right.
know if you guys like it. If you want us to talk about a specific monster, DM not included, let us know. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it.
Or if you'd like for us to review your home brewed monsters, that would be great.
Oh, yeah,
We'd
send
love
us
to
some of those.
hear. Yeah, we'd love to hear more of your, created monsters and your inspirations towards that. So we'd love to hear it.
Oh gosh, yeah, I would love to talk a lot about more monsters, cause their lore, like stat block wise and ability wise, they're intertwined with the lore. But their creation, man, that's my cup of of coffee of tea. That's my cup of tea. Sorry, wow.
Yeah. So I've never really managed to create a monster from scratch. I always took inspiration from existing monsters and just see if it
Yeah,
works. Because the whole balancing the action economy and stuff like that is not something that I am very keen of. I guess is that something of a challenge that you've encountered when you
yeah,
were creating?
definitely.
Yeah. Well, how was it difficult for you in terms of like creating your first monster?
Um, I have to consider fairness. Firstly, are they going up against a creature that are my players going up a creature that or a set of creatures that they have no chance against? So I have to consider that. And I mean, you were in that game where I almost TPK'd everyone,
We won,
and
so
I was yeah. Uh,
I didn't know this.
and ito pa, yeah, I didn't know how to use one of the monsters correctly. So those were I think three beholder types and one homebrewed monster that's essentially Pudge, diba? It's a walking abomination where every attack that you make bites you back with necrotic damage, right? And while you're trying to fight this abomination, there are these creatures that can potentially stun, maim, or disintegrate you. So parang and tatlo lang kayo nun. So I'm like, whoop, might have turned the knob to an 11 here that I out of 10. Di ba? Pero based naman sa ano rin, parang in terms of experience, it was one of the most fun encounters I've had. Although admittedly, I was scared to death
I
because
was
I might
I,
put it.
I was honestly resigned to defeat.
Uh-uh.
So I was thinking of, an exit for
Okay.
my PC. Like, what would
Yeah.
he do in terms of like, and I was thinking of, okay, what's my backup character going to be?
But you guys got out of it, so that's great. Pero yun nga eh. Syempre, that's one difficulty that I go again that I have when setting yung when creating monsters, right? Pero ang if you're like setting encounters or adjusting encounters or your creating creatures, just keep in mind the number of players and the number of actions that these players have, right? Tier 1, there's not much action, parang per player may isang action or na bonus action, right? So no need to go all out. Tier 5, you can probably max out a few things when it comes to this encounter because they have more actions now, or alam mo yun, they have two attacks most of the time.
Yeah.
Pero yeah,
When they get to
that's
level
basically
5,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
Later tonight, when we have our game, Ponzi. Yeah, later tonight we will have a game. I'll just announce now. Nothing. Fuck! Damn it, Carlo! Can't you just keep it in?
Labo mo kausap. One of the key things also, like me, in terms of like measuring combat and how it could turn out, because I have just based on experience, I have a sense of, when certain adventures, like, or circumstances in adventures can get deadly. And you're just looking at the monsters and the sheer amount of monsters, like based on experience, like that has always been the difference maker. Just the number of enemies that you have, not so much that what your enemies are, but just how much they are or how many they are, because you have only enough actions not to to especially if, like, you don't have AoE PCs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that has always been one of the things that I've been wary of, like just the amount of monsters that are on the battlefield. Like, based on how I would like to manage combat, I'd like to um, use stronger creatures but lesser. Alam mo yan, parang yung number nila are fewer.
Yeah.
Rather than populating the battlefield with 12 sturges and stuff like that. That has
Yeah.
always been kind of like very difficult to track anyway, so I don't like to do that. In the same way, I don't like and also, like, it kind of like drags the combat a lot
Yeah. Yeah.
for
I think in our games I am very proud kasi hindi na ako puro combat, whereas dati it's all about combat. I especially love that I get to role play and practice my quote unquote not acting. So I'm really proud of that moment na parang challenging challenges for the players don't have to come in terms of strategizing for combat. Sometimes it's just how you deal with people, and I love that. I'm starting to love that aspect of D&D more.
yeah. And a lot of that gets lost, especially in modules and stuff like that. It's difficult because you know that the DM is already prepped for combat and is already expecting combat, and it's difficult kind of like to sidetrack away from that. Although you do try your best, to avoid it sometimes by talking to or trying to convince or talk your way
I'm
out
not
of it.
that.
But then again, the DM gets what he wants. If he wants combat, then combat.
He will
shall.
get it. Yeah. Now that you mention it, you think you could talk your way out of fighting the Orc Eye of Gruumsh? Like, you are
Probably.
surrounded by a large orc tribe, 12 orogs. The orc war chief is there, and an Orc Eye of Gruumsh. Could you get out of? I'm sure you could, but to what extent, diba?
Yeah. Like,
How would you rule that?
there are circumstances around that could make it nearly impossible to talk your way out of it, because these units of these battalions or squads, they have specific functions, and given
Orders,
that
yeah.
in the not even orders, just functions.
Mm-hmm.
You function as you eliminate all or any or all
Yeah, that's
intruders,
their nature.
right? So they're not particularly very keen on listening to perceived intruders. So they might just end up killing you on the spot, not really giving you the time to really talk because they don't ask questions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Maybe if
yeah,
there
and
is,
mhm.
maybe if there is kind of like leverage that you can hold against the orc.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now that I think about it, they are like they are the ano eh, they are the they literally hate other races and other things other than themselves. So
perceived to hate,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So ano, parang it's gonna be hard to do that or to persuade them to stop, yeah, to stop them from like harming you, right?
Or
Pero ano, parang unless you have like an
yeah,
artifact that they need, no?
and
Parang
it's kind
ganon.
of like very like circumstantial in terms of like um the assumptions of these orcs we have to take into account as well. Like the I'm not sure, like based on experience, just based on conjecture as well, like how many interactions have they had that has turned into like a peaceful
Diplomatic.
transition,
Oo.
given their nature as orcs and given their judgment also, or prejudice against them, that they are orcs so they must be evil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like if the script was reversed and you find an orc teetering into a camp and they try to talk their way out of it, so
They're probably not gonna do it.
they're probably not going to listen because they're
Yeah.
orcs, right? So the
Yeah.
same judgment can be made for any other races, that the orcs have historical grudges against, again, I
Yeah.
guess. So it just depends on how, like what the circumstances are. Like you have to approach it with diplomacy and not try to talk your way out of a situation that is obviously, you know,
Not gonna that's
not
not
gonna,
fit for diplomacy. Yeah.
yeah. So 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 it's that, like you have to weigh that again. Like your bard can, even if you have like a plus 15 in charisma, you can't talk your way out of a situation if the other person is already
Yeah.
hell-bent in murdering you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it would take one extraordinary thing talaga for them to not attack you. Like yun, by artifact siguro the actual spear of Gruumsh. If you kill me, I will break this. Ganun siya.
yeah,
If you go any closer, I don't know. Parang they probably still want to kill you anyway.
or like an exercise of power, maybe like
Yeah.
you like make a giant explosion and you ask them to drop their
Dragon.
weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it has to be in that sense, it has to be there. It's it's maybe it's more, they respond better to power and stuff like that, or demonstration or stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe that's how
We,
I'll
we
do it.
yeah, I haven't really delved much into the orcish, ano. Like as far as my DMing is concerned, I've never really used orcs per se as monsters in my homebrew campaigns. I will siguro, pero the orcs in my campaigns are chill. They half orcs siguro. I'll figure it out. Pero yeah, we'll see. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
see.
I think that's it for the Orc Eye of Gruumsh and a little bit about adjusting combat encounters and other encounters.
Mhm.
Man, we're just scratching at the surface, right? And it's so fascinating because there's so many things to learn and share with the people pagdating sa lore. And
Yes.
there are already a lot of lore channels out there. Man, feels so good to just talk about these things.
Great, great. So let's do this more often then. Like,
Yeah, we
talk
shall.
about lore and stuff. I'm
For
curious to.
next week, 'di ba, will be with a
Hopefully, yeah.
person.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. All right. Okay, should we pack up and turn off kill the embers before
Yeah.
we get encounters? Let us wrap up this short rest and move
Sure.
forward with our other All right.
Absolutely.
Fonzie, where can they find you?
You
In
can find me on Strava, Carlo, if you're ever there.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So for me, Fonzi Marquez, let's give ourselves kudos for exercising and choosing a healthier lifestyle. Also, you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter at FonziToot. You can like our page at Activate Leadership. It's our coaching Facebook page where I coach and help people get through situations in their lives. Aside from that, yeah, you can also now find us at fort7.net for all your D&D gaming needs.
Yeah,
So,
you need that quick D&D, that D&D fix for that'll last for the night.
yeah. So
Just go there.
yeah, so hopefully we will have our guests on board who will talk about Fort 7, and we'll talk about the D&D community after in this pandemic, and how we are able to still pursue games despite the circumstances. How about you,
Yeah.
Carlo? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at carlogeeksout.com. You can find me in YouTube. Just search for Carlo Geeks Out. If you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, chances are you probably have already heard about me. And yeah, basically that's really it. You can also follow the wonderful the hilariously wonderful exploits of our intrepid adventurers known as the Tabletop Titos in facebook.com/tabletop titos. We'll be posting content very very soon. It's been a hell of a few weeks lang lately, so forgive us. You know that you like to we know that you like to see us stumble about in Barrio Alonso and in Strad. But yeah, we hope to resume our games and start kicking butt with tabletop titos. Anyway, yeah. So again, visit I'll be posting some charity links sa YouTube video for where you can donate for those na nasalanta ng Ulysses PH. We're hoping that more lives get saved, and yeah, this is Short Rest, guys. Like and subscribe. See you again. Bye.
Bye.
A short rest with Fonzie and Carlo.